Do you have difficulty of trusting yourself? And you're probably thinking, what is it you mean? Of course I trust myself. I'm always take myself with me. How can I not trust myself? That's a good question, isn't it? So, my name is Lolita Guarin, and thank you so much for coming to my podcast from Stress to Success Blueprint. I am talking about self love this month because February is the month of love. And I'm about to start talking about stress management in relationships, but this is coming up right after Valentine's Day. So we have 2 episodes left about self love. And trusting yourself is definitely something that you need to do if you love yourself. Because when you think about how is that you react towards other people, someone that you love, you trust, right? Or you don't. Here is the catch. If you grew up in an environment where you learned that, well, just because you love someone, it doesn't mean you should trust them because, well, they gave you pain, they were untrustworthy, they broke promises, they made you feel unsafe. You're not gonna trust those that you love. For you, love and trust, those are two different things. You even may have people in your life that you dearly love right now, but you don't trust them. Or could be also that there are very trustworthy people in your life that you really don't love them, but you trust them. You know they will not do anything to sabotage you and they always will watch your back. Um, but the true love is when you trust that person. So trusting yourself is very important. It has to do with honoring yourself, really being there for yourself, not abandoning yourself. I'm talking about, with people pleasing and doing everything that's really working against yourself. And naturally, you used to this because when you were growing up, it's been kind of shown to you that you're still going to continue doing and still loving and still contributing to the group of people, even if they hurt you and there is no trust. The trust was broken a long time ago, but you still continue doing that out of habit. And it could be that you learned this thing because you didn't trust them, and maybe they didn't even trust you. So you don't even trust yourself because you learn about trust and you continue going in your life. That has to do with just not trusting yourself. So here are 3 fixes that we can do to make yourself in a more safe place and loving yourself more. So, number one is you need to learn from experiences. Remember all those mistakes that you did in the past. But it's not that you should tell yourself, "Oh, I did this mistake, and this is how I can tell myself that I never should trust myself." No, no, no. This is about for you to think about things that happened to you in the past, and you even can make a list and really, really remember what happened. And were you doing something because you thought or you felt like you need to do? That was your decision, or it was actually somebody else's decision. But you were making that action because you wanted to please them. So, because you see, if you did something in the past and it backfired and it hurt you, you can label this as, oh, well, when I did this, this has hurt me. So I don't trust myself because obviously I make wrong decisions. But if you make that decision or take that action, actually by listening to somebody else, so your mistake is not listening to yourself, but it's not a mistake. What action did you took, wrong or bad or whatever? See what I'm saying? So it's very important for you to identify. So think about, experiences in the past that you have in those times when you made mistakes because of somebody else's influence. Basically, you were people pleasing. You wanted to be better for others, and you just totally discarded yourself because, well, you don't trust yourself, right? So you just dishonor yourself and abandon yourself. And the second thing is you need to start really listening to your intuition because we just talked about the mistakes that you did in the past. So um that should be a good sign for you to show a great indicator what happens when you do not listen to yourself. What happens when you do not listen to your intuition? And it may be very triggering to you right now because if you, again, grow up with this pattern that you do not trust yourself because you're constantly being told that you shouldn't and gaslit all the time of saying, no, what you feel, you don't feel it. What you want, that's what you don't want. No, 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 what you're doing is wrong. You would not listen to your intuition either. And it could be that in the past you were listening to your intuition, but then you got yourself in trouble because other people didn't like it. So then you told yourself, I'm going to do whatever they tell me to, even if my intuition tells me not to, but I'll still do it. And on a personal note, very personal experience. When I was back in Lithuania, I was in college and we went dancing with my friend. And I was dancing with this guy and he looked nice and sweet and all of, all that jazz. And long story short, my intuition was telling me that I need to remove myself from the situation. But because I was very into people pleasing and want to make sure that nobody thinks badly about me, and I don't want to get into argument, I don't want to have a conflict and what people will think of me, uh, basically got raped. Not fun experience, but I should have listened to that intuition. So I more and more remember that I need to listen. If there's something inside of my body says, run, you better run. But that also goes through any different things that has to do with investing in the people and going, even getting in your car driving, because you don't know what you can be protected from. Or even advanced towards if you have an intuition that, oh, you need, have like, oh, you need to go and talk to that person. You listen to this. So the more you'll start listening to your intuition, the more you'll see it that is on your side. Especially if you grew up in an environment where your intuition was told not to do it. Okay, the more you start exercising this, the more it will become like a muscle memory that you will listen in more, and then you can trust yourself more because you're holding your own back. Okay, and the third thing, start small, but if you have difficulty of being consistent, meaning if you make yourself a promise and you break that promise, you just tell yourself that you don't trust yourself because you just made promise and you broke it. And I remember there was a time when I will say, you know what, today I'm very tired, but tomorrow I'm going to work out. Tomorrow for sure I'm going to work out. Well, of course, the next day comes in and I'm like, oh, well, I'm tired again. I'm going to work out next. And I start more and more disappointing in myself. Like, oh my gosh, I keep on breaking my promises until it got to the point of saying, I am not going to make promises that I know I probably may not keep. Or just tell myself, I'm going to do the best I can. And that way it doesn't really look like I'm abandoning myself or breaking my own promises. Well, because I'm still finding the solution saying, we'll see what happens, but not that categorical saying, yes, this is what I'm going to do. So what is that you do to have more of a consistency and trust that comes with that is you start doing something small that doesn't take so much time or so much energy. Like you say, I'm going to read a page of a book. I'm going to read one sentence 3 times, something inspirational. And you do it every single day. And no matter what, no matter how tired you are, no matter how you don't want to, and you could do very well 2, 3 days or 4, 5. And then after that, you just crash. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this all over again. Keep doing that. Of course, address the triggers, address why you don't want to do that, the fears and all of this. But then stay consistent. And what will happen over the time you will notice that you become proud of yourself. Like, oh, wow, I'm actually doing this. I cannot believe I did this like 2 weeks in a row. And then you become inspired by that and you don't want to stop. And that's how good habits start building. But the most important part of this is that you start trusting yourself because you prove it to yourself that you can do it. See? Well, as you can tell, I can talk about this for hours. Okay. So if you have a good advice about how you can trust yourself. Maybe you had an experience where you trusted yourself and something great came out in your life. I would love to hear what happened in the stories below, in the description below. I would love to hear your story in the description below. There you go. And if you have any question that has to do with stress management and relationships, I would love to hear it and I would love to answer it. Um, I hope that we already been talking about this for 13 days now. I hope you found something that you love and appreciate in yourself, because tomorrow it will be I'll be talking about three very important things that has to do with the self-love overall, and I don't think you can do without them. So I hope you'll be back. And if you are, a repeat viewer, thank you so much for coming in, and I hope you are a subscriber. If you have not subscribed to my channel and you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Thank you so much for being here.